Next person Peterson talks to is later chosen by him as his favorite conversation to be revisited later, and I can see why. She's obviously put some effort into understanding his religious views and asks, I think, some really interesting philosophical questions.
Right. I'm trying to imagine a situation in which could there be that someone has a priority at their foundation that is different from someone else's?
Oh, definitely.
Right. So we can have different conceptions of God.
That's why we fight.
Right. So essentially, there's not one God, but there are multiple gods, and these gods exist in some realm of truth.
Okay, so right off the bat, a brilliant question. Remember, for Peterson, God is just defined as whatever is at the base of the value hierarchy, the fundamental value. This woman, Zena, has asked, can't people have different fundamental values? Peterson says, yes, of course. But if God is just defined as that fundamental value, that means that there are lots of different gods. Okay, this is where it's about to get really interesting.
It depends on what you mean by valid. So far, so good, but it depends on what you mean by valid, because I would say that some foundational conceptions don't play out when they're implemented. So if you put the wrong thing at the foundation, you end up in hell.
Okay, so there are right and wrong fundamental values. How do we determine what is a right fundamental value and what is a wrong fundamental value?
So what makes one kind of foundational tenet better than another one?
That's an excellent question.
I agree. In fact, I think that's the most important question anyone has asked so far.
Iterability. Imagine that you play a game with someone and you're a kid, and it's fun. So then you play again and again and again.
So repetition.
If the value is fundamental, that means that it's at the bottom or the top of this value hierarchy. So how can there be a more fundamental value, that is iterability, by which we can then judge that fundamental values?
Could there be that someone has a priority at their foundation that is different from someone else's?
Oh, definitely.
A fundamental value is the most basic value that everything else is oriented towards. If it's the most fundamental value, then you can't have other values by which you judge if it's a good or a bad fundamental value.
Right. So we're explaining characteristics that can be applied to these types of foundational values. But why is it that this iterability makes it better, and what does better mean?
Exactly. If you've got two people and they've both got fundamental values which conflict with each other, why does iterability make one of them good? And why does not having iterability make the other one bad?
So I'm essentially trying to figure out, do you believe that something can be good, stance independently, something that can be good?
I don't know what you mean by stance independent.
Okay, so
you mean independent of people?
Independent of people. We can use that, or more so, I want to be more specific. Something that can be good, right, regardless of any end goal. It's just good.
No, I think good is tied up with goal.
Goal, okay. I completely agree. So someone's goal, right, can be something that doesn't encompass being in congruence with God or being with God.
Yeah, so someone's ultimate goal could be invalid and therefore not congruous with God, right?
No, the thing that they want to be incongruent.
Oh, right, okay.
That's right. That's right. That's good. That's great. The thing they want to be in congruence with is fundamentally equivalent to their God.
So we're now back to the idea that somebody's ultimate goal just is God. I mean, he did say their God, which could imply that different people have different gods,
is fundamentally equivalent to their God.
But again, he's just stuck with this dilemma that he has to say either they're all equally legitimate gods, in which case there are just lots of gods that exist, or he has to say, well, their God is the wrong God. And we're back to the problem of having to judge what is supposed to be our most fundamental value, God, with reference to other more fundamental values.